everybody, Steve Heumann here, Outdoor Adventure. Welcome to the show. I am really excited to introduce you to my two guests today. You probably have watched their show on YouTube. You've probably seen them on Supermarket Sweepstakes. They are the Klar Brothers and stars of Klar Brothers Bistro. I'm very excited for you guys to meet them. So let's jump in and find out what it takes to put on a successful YouTube show and how to cook healthy.
Kevin, thank you so much for joining me today. I've really been looking forward to this conversation because I love your guys' channel. And I've tried some of your guys' recipes and they're awesome. So I've been having so much fun.
That's all me.
It's all you. It's not Kevin at all.
Yeah.
I do all the cooking. He just points his finger and directs.
He's the Vanna White. He's the guy. Look,
right.
And look what Kevin
Kevin's
is doing.
the Vanna White. Kevin's the pretty one. I'm the smart one. I'm the one behind the brains behind this.
Yeah, he's the Pat Sajak to your Vanny. To my Vanna White.
See, I always see, after watching the episodes, Ken, I always see you as the impetus for the channel because you were the one, you're the single one who was like your first episode. The first episode you guys ever did was I'm a bachelor, I don't know what to do, so I'm gonna throw some chicken in with this and pour some salsa on it, and that kind of. So it was kind of Kevin going, "Hey Ken, we're gonna help you."
You're right.
You.
Maybe, you're right. Maybe the analogy is not perfect, but trust me, I'm the smart one. He's the pretty one.
All right, I'll trust you. I'll trust you. Okay, so let's start out with some of the questions that I've been wanting to ask you guys since watching your channel. So let's introduce the audience. Let's talk about why you guys started Klar Brothers Bistro.
Well, I mean, like you said, right? I was a bachelor and I had broken up with a significant relationship. I found myself 40 pounds overweight and had never been on a diet in my life. And I talked to my brother. He had been doing a program that was getting some success for him and his lovely bride. And so I decided to jump on. Well, one of the requirements of this program was to make a healthy meal for yourself every day. And I didn't.
Ken was always throwing money at the problem. So he didn't even know how to shop, let alone cook.
I couldn't spell cook. I couldn't even spell cook.
And then I had to rethink this whole process, right? Because he's a bachelor, right? So fresh veggies don't last. So we went down the frozen aisle for the frozen veggies because he can keep those in his freezer forever, right? And the same thing with the meats. Fresh meat doesn't last. So again, we kind of had to think of this whole thing as it relates to a bachelor. And then when we did that, we came up with a few options for him. And then it developed into Ken's famous chicken salsa surprise.
Yeah. Kevin can't take credit for that because I developed that all on my own. After trying a couple of the meals that he taught me, I thought, well, what if I had a little salsa? And it turned out to be amazing. And I could change up the veggie. That's the surprise part, right? You never know what veggie is going to get slipped in there. Yeah. And it takes about 20 minutes. You only dirty one pot. In fact, sometimes I've been known to eat right out of the pot, so super easy.
That's a bachelor for you.
Now, you guys were on Supermarket Sweepstakes, and that's where a lot of your fans were first introduced to you guys. Before we went into some of the recipes and stuff, I wanted to ask what that experience was like, because we always, you watch the episode, you watch the show, but what was it like behind the scenes, meeting the people and actually working in a game show environment? What was that like?
It was pretty exciting. It was our first game show. We'd never been on TV before. And of course, they really put us through the ringer. We must have auditioned for 6 different people before we even got down to the lot. And the call was at 6 a.m. So we were on the road at 4:30, headed down to Santa Monica. And even when we got there, right, Kev?
Yeah, we found out that there was 3 slots and there was 4 teams for 3 slots. So they told us right then and there that even now you could be cut. You could be left on the cutting room floor. And Ken and I looked at each other and said, dude, we didn't come all this way and go through all this stuff to be left on the cutting room floor. So we brung it.
And Leslie was in love with me. I mean, if you got to watch the episode for yourself, but yeah.
I tried to set him up with her up with him, and she figured that he could maybe cook her an omelet, and that was about it. And then when we were doing the shopping thing, I ended up pulling a hamstring, and I'm trying to run around this shopping store gimping. I couldn't say anything to anyone, and they panned away. They didn't show it quite like I would like it. They just made fun of us because we didn't know how to shop and we didn't know how to get through there. But in reality, I was hurting unit going around.
We had this great strategy I'd come up with. Kevin was going to race around the outside with no cart and just pick up all the big ticket items that we could get across the finish line without having a cart. And then the second pass, he was going to take the cart and go right to the meat aisle. Well, he got about halfway around that first bend and he pulled a hamstring and he started gimping the whole way. And they wouldn't let us change out. So all I could do was shout encouragement, from the sidelines. But it was a super fun experience.
Now, I've heard a rumor you guys might be doing some more sort of game show stuff in the future. I don't want to spoil anything. We can, but I'm excited to learn about that possibility. I think your guys' personalities come out really strongly on your show on Klar Brothers Bistro. Have you guys always you work together really well on camera. Is this something that you guys have to practice, or is it just all natural?
Are you kidding? We're twins. What's the practice? We've been living with each other 50 years. Yeah, and when we go out, because Ken doesn't have a significant others, most of the time, my wife is the meat in between the two slices of bread. So we call it the Klar sandwich. So we have been spending a lot of time together, like most people that have siblings, but closer certainly than most siblings, so we talk all the time, but there is no prep. Don't get it wrong. There's no prep going into our Klar Brothers Bistro. It's run what you brung.
Oftentimes we are reading the recipe real time just before the big red button gets hit, and having you got to remember, we were womb mates for 9 months, so we know each other pretty well.
That is great. Womb mates. I like that. That's pretty great. Do you guys have a favorite recipe that you've done over your time doing Klar Brothers Bistro?
Well, the chicken salsa surprise is an easy one. That's definitely my favorite because it's just so darn simple and there's not a lot of ingredients. And but we've done some really cool stuff along the way. Kevin's pretty good on the barbecue.
I like the meats. And we found some cool tips that we can give to people to make sure that their meat turns out right. That doesn't get undercooked or overcooked. The meat thermometer was a genius that we, again, definitely cooking together has helped us to refine the skill. I mean, we've tried things that we probably wouldn't have tried before we've been on our program with the cauliflower rice and some of the other things. And so that has really evolved into what it is today, for sure.
The salmon papillote was pretty fun because we were in France with our friend and teacher there, and she got a chance to show something that's pretty traditional French. That was pretty cool. And we got a chance to try leeks. We neither one of us had ever had leeks before, so that was a whole kind of.
We thought that was what you had in the ship, a leek.
That's right.
We didn't think it was a vegetable. Holy cow!
So we're trying to think about what other countries we can go to bring Brothers Bistro.
Yeah, we're thinking Switzerland, because Ken likes French and my wife likes French, so we're trying to figure out where else we've gone to Quebec, but we missed the opportunity. We should have cooked there.
Yeah.
And so who knows where we'll find us next, but is what you're talking about with the game shows. Now that we've made our debut, they're coming out of the woodwork looking for us. They all want twins on their show. The Price is Right, all these different ones. So we'll see. We don't know where. It was a lot of work. There was a lot of interviews, a lot of wickets to jump through. And then that day was a pretty long day. So it actually was a pretty big commitment, even though it didn't seem like it was our 30 seconds of fame. It was a pretty big commitment.
Yeah. And we didn't do very well. If you watch the episode, we struggled because we weren't that familiar with the game show. Neither one of us spent a lot of time watching TV. So we felt like we were a little bit on the back feet. A couple of these other teams that, clearly they've grown up watching this television game show. So.
Well, it was really fun to watch you guys. And it's fun to watch you on Klar Brothers Bistro. I'm excited to hear that you guys are planning on going on more international trips because I really enjoyed when you guys were in France. You were making something that I had never heard of. I mean, obviously it's salmon, but it was so different. It was something that seemed completely French. Like it wasn't you guys just throwing something together. You actually created a French meal, and that was wonderful. So I would love to see you guys do that on your further adventures, to just introduce the audience to more of these international flavors. I mean, the amount of dill that she used on that, I was like, that's got to create just a really unique and very bold flavor. But it was something that I would have never thought of to use in that circumstance with some, cucumbers and a fillet of salmon. So it introduced me to something new. So I hope to see you guys do that as you're traveling the world for Klar Brothers Bistro.
Well, listen, if we've got any chefs out there that are in foreign countries that want a couple of knuckleheads to come visit for a week or so and learn the language and experience the culture, we're ready. We'll bring our cameras and we'll
Have camera, will travel.
All right. So, Ken, let me ask you directly. When you're getting ready to cook something, whether it's for Klar Brothers Bistro or not, I know that you concentrate a lot on health, on creating something that is going to improve your health. Now, what goes through your mind? What is your process when you're looking at, hey, I'm going to either try a recipe or I'm going to try something new? How do you keep that balance between flavor and making it so that it's healthy?
Well, it's not super hard. I mean, there's a lot of resources online, right? The computer is our friend. So we try and keep it, mainly lean meat and green veggies, right? Some combination of those things. We try and stay away from the obvious fatty butters and breads and pastas and that kind of thing. So you won't see a lot of that stuff on our show. And sometimes we'll substitute those things, for more healthy options. And that's pretty fun to do. I have, we're not experts, but we figured it out along the way, and we're thankful that the internet is out there because there's lots. I mean, there's just no shortage of healthy recipes. The trick is, are they going to taste any good? And sometimes we don't know until we've cooked them. And how hard are they going to be to prepare?
All right, Kevin, now this next question is for you. Now, we all have a relationship with food, right? Food is an important part of our life. Thinking about that in those terms, how do you find enjoyment when you're cooking and you're doing these things? Has this helped you to have a better relationship with your food and take more joy in eating, cooking in this way?
Yeah. So, I mean, we used to, I was a firefighter for 37 years. So we used to have big portions and lots of meat, right? So in going through this program and kind of revisiting what do we really need now that I'm retired and 50 something, and so your calorie requirements change. So I have had to change my relationship with food. Like, I don't serve a 32-ounce porterhouse. We go for 5 ounces of some sort of a fillet or something that's a lean meat. And then I eat a lot more veggies than I ever did. Used to eat a lot of, they say no color, the browns and the grays and the whites, the potatoes and the French fries and those kinds of things. They're just huge calorie sinks. And as we started really looking at this, we realized just driving through a fast food restaurant, you can eat more calories in one setting than we would have in like 3 days of meals. And it's just a matter of choices. So for me, the relationships that changes, I'm a little more observant at what I am cooking and what it means calorie wise. Not that we're counting calories, but we've just realized, if you do a bed of rice, it could be 200, 300, 400 calories. If you do a bed of cauliflower rice, it's like 30 calories. So it's just a huge difference. And so those things have changed us a lot. Same thing with the portion size of meat. If you want to get 18 ounces of beef, it's a ton of calories. But what we find is that you don't have to put the fork and gag yourself when you're done, right? We just want to be able to have enough. Enough is enough. Like Mary Poppins says, right? Enough is as much as a feast. So you just eat what you can, and you get through it, and you realize that the food is really fuel. And you do want to have good time with it, but it doesn't have to be the center of everything, and it doesn't have to overpower.
It's definitely changed the way we view food when we go out to eat, the way we order. I think you gotta get a mindset that you're going to order what you want, and you're not going to be bashful about making sure that happens. So we tend to stay away from the pastas and the rices and the breading, in the different protein samples, and we tend to keep this portion size small. Sometimes we'll even order a couple of appetizers because the portion sizes in American restaurants have gone out of control. They're just so huge that you just don't need that much food. So to me, it makes the whole experience more enjoyable.
If you look at the menus these days, they actually have to list now the calorie count. And it's interesting when you look at something that's a smaller size or smaller portion, you can go from 200, 300, 400 calories to 1,500 to 2,000 calories. And it's usually that non-nutritional value carbohydrate that they've added that really spikes up the calorie count. So what happens is your body just stores it because it doesn't know when it's getting it. And then in 30 minutes, because it's processed it and stored it, you're hungry again. So what we found is by pairing this stuff with a vegetable, a fibrous vegetable and a protein, it actually lasts longer, you stay fuller longer, and you don't eat as much calorie-wise.
All right, well, so this leads right into my next question. You guys have Klar Brothers Bistro, but you also have your health coaching clips and your hot bites. The hot bites are always really fun because there's some kind of tip, but I want to focus a little bit on the coaching clips because you guys are taking time to talk about health and to talk more in depth about how to live healthy beyond just what you eat. You guys have talked about, perspective and mindset and things like that. Why is that important when it comes to this, this food and health balance?
Well, just like they say, this the work-life balance with your career. You want the same sort of thing with your personal life. You want a healthy mind, you want hopefully healthy finances, and you want healthy nutrition or just healthy body. And we focus a lot on the healthy body in the kitchen when we're talking about nutrition. But the healthy finances and the healthy mind are just as important for you to stay, sort of in the right mindset. A lot of us don't eat. In fact, I'd say most of us don't eat because we're hungry. We eat because we're lonely or we're bored or we're stressed out or whatever is going on, right? Pick your poison. And if in order to change the way you think about food, you got to change the way you think, the mindset behind it.
Yeah, we tell people it's the 6 inches between your ears that you really need to change. You need to change your view of what you eat and why you eat. But part of that comes from what you alluded to was the personal development. So in our coaching practice, we have kind of gone through a lot of this personal development in different areas of our life. And so we like to share that stuff with people because that is the key to not only getting the weight off, but keeping it off long-term, right? You got to change this long-term mindset. We tell people it's got to be a lifestyle. It can't be a diet. If it's a diet, you're going to go back to that double fries and the chocolate shake. You're going to put the weight right back on because that's like 2,000 calories in one meal.
Yeah, one of the main things that has helped us keep our weight off is the fact that we both coach other people, and we're kind of living this lifestyle out loud. It's really hard to be a coach and not to be making good, healthy choices. So that's part of what the healthy finance is all around. We would encourage lots of people to join us in coaching others, and you don't need to be an expert. A lot of people just want someone to link arms with them and come along on the journey, and it's super fun.
Yeah, I remember in one of your more recent coaching clips, you talked about how you can't out-exercise your fork, which I thought was really, I'd never heard it put that way before. And I thought that was a really great way to think about it, that if you're putting stuff into your body, that it's going to outrun your exercise. And so you've got to pay attention to what you eat. So I really like that. So where can people find out more about your guys' coaching business if they want to learn more and be able to take what they're learning from Klar Brothers Bistro and incorporate more of it into their day-to-day lives?
Well, the first step is to go to klarhealth.com. That's your first step. And then you want to click on the link that says schedule a health assessment with Skinny Kenny or Musclehead Kev. And then we'll get on the phone and talk with you. And the health assessment actually will help us guide the conversation, because that's a real brief form that you can fill up that tells us where you are health-wise and what goals you want to achieve.
And secondly, we have a link there or another page that has a whole ton of recipes. So we have basically a resource section. So if you're just looking for a healthy recipe that you saw us cook, we post them there so that you can get them. I think we're up to almost 50 of them. So there's a lot of variety there that you can search out and try different things. And, we're just making this available because as we learn, we're hoping to teach other people and help them learn.
What is it like cooking with your twin brother on camera every week and putting out these episodes? What's that like?
Well, usually I just have to try to get a word in edgewise. So we just did a TikTok of fighting to who gets in front. That's what it's like every time, right? So we make fun of each other, we poke fun at each other, we have fun, and we don't do a lot of rehearsal because we just want it to be us and have fun. We modeled it after Click and Clack, right, Ken?
Yeah. Car Talk, the two hosts of a radio show way back in the 60s and 70s.
Don't drive like my brother. I remember those guys.
Exactly right. They were just a couple of knuckleheads. They knew a lot about cars. We're just a couple of knuckleheads. We know a fair amount about nutrition, but actually we're learning the cooking skills right along with our viewers. I was blown away when I went back, a few weeks ago and saw the very first episode and how far we've come, since that very first episode. We didn't have uniforms. We didn't have a script. We didn't know what we were doing. And we made a lot of mistakes along the way. And that's kind of part of the journey, is you got to be willing to just kind of dive in and figure it out.
All right, so if we're looking toward the future, I've heard through the grapevine that you two are doing a cookbook. Is that true?
Of course it is.
Yeah.
We spend our life and we're bleeding in the kitchen for you guys. We're there for a dime.
We saw lots of people asking us on social media and other places for hard copies of these recipes, because they don't necessarily want to sit through the 5 or 10 minutes for the recipe to go step by step. They want to be able to follow along. They get the entertainment value from seeing us do it, and then they want to repeat it, but they need a reference tool. So this cookbook was kind of a natural thing. It grew out of this whole thing where all of a sudden now you got the Klar Brothers Bistro cooking right with you in the kitchen.
Okay, so when is this cookbook going to be out? I'm very excited to pick it up.
Coming soon to a store near you. Actually, it should be available on Amazon in time for the holidays. Like I said, you can pick one up for your husband or your boyfriend. Perfect gift.
We'll have a hot link on our website at klarbrothersbistro.com, and we'll probably have the links available in our videos coming out soon. It's right around the corner, though. It's coming up to Halloween time. It should be out shortly after.
Yeah, and if you stay tuned, we're probably going to give away a few promotional copies, and we're going to sign those bad boys.
That's right.
So you can get your very own autographed copy.
And if you're really lucky, we'll come cook with you.
Or have them come cook with us.
Right.
If you live in an international country, we're definitely coming.
Well, thank you, first of all, for doing Klar Brothers Bistro and teaching all of us these healthy, simple recipes that we can use with our family. I'm a particular fan of your prime rib. That just watching that episode, I was like, okay, I have to make this right now. I had never seen anybody make prime rib as simply and easily as you guys did. So I really appreciated it, because it was like, all right, you think of prime rib and it's going to be this horrible, 12-hour long ordeal. You guys showed it. It was amazing. It was beautiful. So thank you very much for what you're doing. Second, thank you for joining me today on the show and talking about your YouTube channel. I always talk about, you guys just subscribe. You guys got, if you guys aren't familiar with Kevin and Ken, subscribe to their channel, because you guys will love this show. It is so much fun. I gotta have you guys give me your sign out of Cheese It Up, though. You got to give me a Cheese It Up. Will you do that for me right now?
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Cheese it up.
All right, cheese it up, everybody. I'm Stephen Heumann. Thank you, Ken. Thank you, Kevin. And we will see you guys next time.
Klar Brothers Bistro out.
Yeah, that's right. Out of here.